everyone. Hi. Just wait for Ben to join on, but we are doing an Instagram live today where we're going to be looking at the importance of gut health. So I will wait a few moments for Ben to come on and then we can get started. Here we go. I think Ben's here. Let me...
Lucy.
There we go. Hi, Ben. How are you
Hi,
doing?
hi, Lucy. You know, every time I do an Instagram, half my face is cut off. With
I can see you all now.
you see,
The whole of you. I know. How are you doing? Okay.
nice to see your pretty face
Thank
once again. How you
you.
feeling?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us again today,
Good. I love all the hearts.
learning and
People are
sharing your knowledge.
I love all the hearts. People are loving you.
Oh, good. Oh, that's sweet.
Is my life good?
Yeah, perfect.
I mean,
Perfect.
okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
this is a
we
great
thought,
topic. I love this topic.
yeah, I know. And do you know what? It's becoming such a popular sort of topic that everyone seems to be a lot more awareness around
Yeah,
the subject. But we thought, it'd be great to sort of touch on that and get your experience with it. So, I mean, as you said, like gut health, it's, I think everyone's kind of coming more aware of the fact of its importance. But really, sort of, why do you think it's so important?
well, yeah. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. I can talk about it endlessly, but let me just say this first. Have you ever heard of the Greek goddess, or I think I don't know if she was a goddess, but she was a heroine in a Greek story, Cassandra. Have you ever heard of Cassandra?
No.
Cassandra was doomed and punished by the gods to be able to tell the future, but nobody would listen.
Oh, okay.
That's her great punishment. She knew what would happen, but nobody would
Oh,
listen to her.
oh.
Feeling Cassandra when I started talking about the importance of digestive health and its relationship to the skin back in the 1990s. In
Oh,
fact,
really?
right. In fact, I learned about it in the 1980s in pharmacy
Yes.
school. We studied what's called the gut-skin axis, and I started talking about it, and people would just didn't want to hear it. And I remember one particular incident that it just kind of struck me, and I never forgot it. It was this esthetician teacher who said to her class, "Oh, Ben thinks everything's related to the digestive system." And she was kind of like making fun of me, not in a mean way, but kind of dismissing my take on it. And I was very frustrated by that. Cut to the 30 years later, almost 30 years later today, now starting to become recognized. And let me just be clear here. There's not a single skincare issue, with rare exceptions, which are called contact issues, where you touch something and you get a rash. Uh, the vast majority, 99.9% of skincare issues originate in the blood,
Mm-hmm.
which means they're gut related, unless, of course, you're injecting through the skin. Now, if you're injecting things through the skin, you can also cause some skin problems. And I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of crack addicts or meth addicts or people who do drugs. They invariably will have really bad skin.
Yes.
What they're doing is they're putting poisons in the blood. But for most people, these poisons that get into the blood come in through food and
Mm-hmm.
through the digestive process, especially the intestine. Today, what's becoming more and more recognized and understood is a condition called SIBO. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So bacteria, the microbiome, we all talk about that these days, which is a good thing. Back in the 1990s, nobody heard of the microbiome. The bacteria that live in the gut live in the large intestine for the most part, and there's a very good reason for that. So you have two, we're talking about the intestine, we're really talking about the small intestine and the large intestine, which of course are connected. So there's a very good reason why most bacteria live in the large intestine versus the small intestine. Why do you suppose nature would have set up a system where the microbiome, the bacteria that make vitamins for us, that detoxify our foods, that provide genetic information for proteins that are important for a whole host of immune reactions and intestinal health reactions. Why do you suppose these very important bacteria, the microbiome, live in the large intestine versus the small intestine?
To do with the food that we eat, the digestion and the
Well, why
food.
not the small intestine? Why would they live in the large intestines under normal conditions? Right? It's a good
Yeah.
question. In the small intestine, you have food. In the large intestine, you have waste. Okay?
Okay.
The
Yep.
food comes out of the stomach, goes into the small intestine, then it's absorbed, and then the waste goes into the large intestine where water is sucked out, and then you have your stool. You excrete your body. So the small intestine has lots of food. So it's not supposed to have bacteria, because if it had bacteria, the bacteria would be eating the food.
Yeah.
And not only
Okay.
you wouldn't get the benefits of the food, but you'd also get the inflammatory factors, and the bacteria would proliferate, and this would cause a big problem. So nature has set up a system where the bacteria live in the large intestine, not the small intestine. However, these days, because of the foods we eat, as well as problems that people have with their liver and their gallbladder, as well as problems people have with their stomach, all of which combine to create a situation where bacteria proliferate in the small intestine versus the large intestine. For example, if you're producing low stomach acid, a condition called achlorhydria or hypochlorhydria, low stomach acid, you're not going to be able to kill bacteria. Acid kills bacteria. So you eat food, acid kills bacteria, but you're not making enough acid, the bacteria can get into the small intestine. Number two, bile from the gallbladder also is supposed to kill bacteria. But if you don't have a gallbladder, or your bacteria, your bile is sludgy, or you have a liver problem, you're not going to be able to produce effective bile to kill bacteria. Another reason why bacteria proliferate. Number three, chronic constipation will slow down the movement of food, allowing bacteria to stay to proliferate on the food, eat the food that's in the small intestine and proliferate. So between constipation, low stomach acid, poor bile secretion, and the ingestion of processed carbohydrates, as well as vegetable and fruit carbohydrates called FODMAPs. Have you heard of that? FODMAPs.
No.
FODMAPs is an acronym that stands for fructo, oligo, di, mono, and polyols, monosaccharides and polyols. These are sugars that are found in dried fruits, in okra and squash, in pears, mushy, sweet stuff, honey, sorbitol and mannitol. Various sugars and carbohydrates feed those bacteria. And some of these bacteria, some of these carbohydrates are found in so-called good foods. So vegetarians will be like, oh, well, I just eat vegetables all day. Well, the vegetables can be sources of FODMAPs foods that feed the bacteria. So between these FODMAPs containing foods, low stomach acid, poor bile secretion, and chronic constipation, you have a situation set up where bacteria can proliferate in the small intestine, leading to this condition, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO or SIBO. Now, when you have SIBO and bacteria, lots of things can happen. Remember, bacteria are not supposed to live in the small intestine. When they proliferate in the small intestine, they can secrete chemicals, bacteria secrete chemicals that can inflame the intestine. These chemicals, like, for example, something called histamine, which you may have heard of as in terms of antihistamines, bacteria make histamine, and they'll secrete histamine, and they will inflame the intestine and cause leakages of substances from the small intestine into the blood. Some of those substances include things like histamine and other chemicals called aldehydes, which is one of the chemicals that's responsible for getting a hangover when you drink alcohol, directly into the bloodstream. These histamines and aldehydes are very inflammatory, and they cause all kinds of problems. I'm going to get to that in a second. Other things can leak through the bloodstream too. Bacteria particles themselves can leak into the bloodstream through this condition called leaky gut or intestinal permeability. And this is secondary to SIBO. So you got the bacteria proliferating, they're causing leaking substances that cause inflammation in the intestine, and all kinds of stuff can now leak into the bloodstream, including particles. These bacterial particles, by the way, are called LPSs, lipopolysaccharides. You may have heard the term, as well as histamine, as well as aldehydes. And then they can get into the bloodstream. Once they get into the bloodstream, you have an immune reaction in the blood. And this is a very problematic condition. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but let me digress real quick. Other things that can cause leaky gut include fried fats. Now, everybody loves French fries, but one of the worst, and they're never quality food, as well as fried cheeses, pizza, and anything that's fried.
Anything fried.
Those are very, very inflammatory for the for the lining, and those can exacerbate leaky gut. Gluten and other defensive molecules called lectins. I don't know if you've heard the term lectins, Lectins, that are found in grains and flour and cereal and processed carbohydrates, as well as vegetables like tomatoes and eggplant and potatoes. Those can also be inflammatory for the intestine. And finally, the female hormone estrogen can be inflammatory for the intestine. So between estrogen and the bacterial secretions, histamines, and aldehydes, and fried fats, there's a whole host of things that we ingest in our body on a regular basis that cause leaks in the intestine. Stuff gets into the blood, initiating immune reactions in the blood. Now you have in the bloodstream immune particles in addition to bad guys, bacterial secretions, pieces of bacteria, food particles, etc. Now they're in the bloodstream. This can exacerbate histamine release and immune factor release, and you have a big mess inside the blood. The body does something very interesting when there's this mess inside the blood. This mess, by the way, I'm calling it a mess, but technically they call it CICs, circulating immune complexes.
Okay.
And these CICs that are leaking in the blood are associated with, get this, all 100% of chronic disease, including cancer, heart disease, autoimmune disease, movement disorders and neurological conditions, dementias, mental health problems. All of it is related to CICs floating in the blood following leaky gut, following SIBO. And this includes skin conditions, eczema, rosacea, psoriasis, acne, dry skin, sensitive skin, itchy skin, aging skin are all related to this condition. And I have been formulating topical skincare products since 1980, over 40 years. And I love doing it. It's my passion to formulate skincare products. I'm very good at it, as you know, but as a skincare professional and a skincare therapist, I can't in good conscience tell my patients that their skin conditions can be alleviated by only topical strategies. Yes, there's wonderful things you can do topically with our omega-6 healing cream, our transdermal C serum, transdermal C balm. You can make your skin look beautiful, as you're living proof of. I mean, I can't get over how beautiful your skin looks through Instagram. I've seen you in person, so anybody in person, that's real, and that's not makeup. That's what beautiful, healthy skin looks like. Nonetheless, if you have a skin condition, you've got to go back to the intestine. You're not going to be able to deal with your eczema, your psoriasis, your rosacea, your acne, whatever it is, strictly topically. You have to go back to the intestine. And this is why dermatologists get so frustrated, and patients as well, when they have a skin condition and they try to treat it with a steroid cream or some kind of topical product without addressing the internal milieu. Now, the upside of addressing, and I'll tell you how you do this in a second, the upside of addressing the internal milieu is not only do you improve skin conditions, but you also improve digestive health. You also improve nutrient absorption. Mm-hmm. You also reduce inflammatory factors that are causing autoimmune diseases. Do you know how frustrating autoimmune diseases are to treat? Anybody out there listening? If you have an autoimmune condition, how frustrated are you trying to go to the doctor or trying to take a steroid or trying to get a fancy biologic to deal with your rheumatoid arthritis or your lupus or your scleroderma or your psoriasis or your vitiligo or whatever it is? It's so frustrating because you have to work internally on the digestive system. And today's modern esthetician must understand A, digestive health, and B, nutrition if you're going to be an effective medical esthetician. It's an absolute must. In 1990, people could say, oh, that's just Ben. He thinks everything's related to the digestive system. In the year 2024, our patients, our clients, our customers, and our friends and our loved ones are expecting us to be able to understand the internal causes of external health challenges. So the question becomes, how do you do it? And I want to be very clear here. There are things you can do topically. True Transdermal C Serum is an amazing treatment for dry skin or for anti-aging, for wrinkles and for fine lines. Truth Omega-6 Healing Cream is the most amazing burn cream or dermatitis cream you'll ever use. But if you have sensitive skin or rosacea or acne or psoriasis or any other skin condition and you want to resolve it completely, you absolutely must backtrack to food in the digestive system. So then the question becomes, how do you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first thing you always want to do when you have a skin problem or any problem really, because like I say, all health challenges can be backtracked to SIBO and a leaky gut, you have to do what's called a food diary. A food diary is when you write down everything you eat, and then you write down next to where you put the food how your skin looks after you eat the food, how your belly feels after you eat the food, how your bowel movements feel or are after you eat the food. Do you have gas? Do you have bloating? Do you have pain? Do you have discomfort of any kind after you eat that food? How? What is your mental health like after you eat a food? Do you have brain fog after you eat a food? Do you get anxiety after you eat a food? Are you jittery? Have problems focusing after you eat a certain food? All of these are red flags for intestinal health issues and leaky gut, things getting into the bloodstream post-prandial, as we say, or post-eating after a meal. So you do a food diary. What this does is it gives you data. You can't do a medical procedure or a therapeutic procedure without data, without information. And it's because our brain only remembers things that happen once in a while. If you always bloat after you eat certain foods, your brain's not going to notice it. You're going to be, I've asked people, oh, do you have digestive health issues? I know they do because they have skin problems. They say, oh, do you have digestive health issues? You bloat or do you have heartburn or gas or whatever? Oh, no, I'm fine. And then later on, they'll say, oh, you know what? I do have a little gas after I have apricots, or I do have a little rash after I eat certain foods. So the memory is very faulty in this way because our brain doesn't remember things or notice things that happen only once in a while. So writing things down in a book is critical. Doing a food diary is absolutely vital. So then you do you get a list of all the things, and most people will be shocked by what they found out, ironically. And interestingly, it's usually our favorite foods that cause us the most problems, which is unfortunate, but at least you'll know once you have
Yeah.
data, and then you can eliminate those foods. And then the next thing you do is you work on digestive support using supplements and nutrients, as well as specific foods that can have a soothing effect on the digestive system. For example, algae and seaweed have a coating effect on the digestive tract and can be very soothing and helpful and anti-inflammatory. Likewise, collagen and what I call bone soup or chicken soup made with the bones, that can have a soothing effect on the intestine. Aloe vera gel or noni juice can have a calming and soothing effect on the intestine. All of these are very important foods that you can use for intestinal health. Then there are supplements you could take. Probiotics. These days, everybody knows about probiotics. Those are also going to be important. Making sure that you're having regular bowel movements is important. You want to hear something really interesting? I don't know about, I'm sure in the UK it's the same. In the United States, we have a chronic an epidemic of chronic constipation. It's like a serious health problem. Do you know that when you stop eating, that is when you fast, or even if you just don't have a full-blown fast, just you create space between meals, your intestine starts to clean itself out. There's a complex of nerves and muscles that line the alimentary canal, the digestive tract, called the MMC. And this neuromuscular complex is called the migrating motor complex. The MMC stands for the migrating motor complex. And the migrating motor complex is activated when you don't eat. And so we all know about the migrating motor complex because we've all heard. When you don't eat for 6 hours or 8 hours, did you ever hear a rumbling in your tummy?
Yes. Yeah.
That rumbling in your tummy is the migrating motor complex cleaning out the digestive tract. But what do we do when we hear that rumbling in our tummy? The worst thing you could ever do.
Yeah.
We eat and we shut it down. So one of the major causes of chronic constipation is chronic eating. And taking off or taking time off between your meals is one of the best ways to improve bowel functioning. Number two, there's a wonderful, absolutely spectacular nutrient vitamin that activates the nerves that propel food through your intestine. The intestine is lined with these nerves, the migraine motor complex and other nerves that activate movement to propel foods out of your body. Vitamin B1 thiamine is a critical nutrient that many people are deficient in that activate the nerves that propel food out of the intestine. Vitamin B1, thiamine. And
Okay.
deficiency is not only extremely common, but it's caused by ingestion of sugar and ingestion of refined carbohydrates and also alcohol. Between alcohol and sugars and refined carbohydrates and processed foods, many people are dealing with thiamine deficiencies, leading to chronic constipation. Thiamine supplementation is one of the all-time great strategies for helping propel foods out of your body and preventing leaky gut, preventing SIBO and then leaky gut. So eating less food, using thiamine, using probiotic supplements, increasing stomach acid. Remember, stomach acid kills bacteria. So using apple cider vinegar with your meals, or a supplement called betaine HCl, betaine hydrochloride, can also help acidify the contents of the stomach. Using bile support. Remember, bile is also important for killing bacteria. Bile has antibacterial properties. So using bile supplements, using choline, choline supplements, or eating choline containing foods like eggs and like beans and like grains can also be helpful for improving bile function. Lecithin and lecithin granules are like a form of bile. There's lecithin in your bile. So using lecithin granules can help. Using the amino acids taurine and glycine, which are associated with healthy bile, can also help. And by the way, if you have your gallbladder, keep it. Let anyone take your gallbladder unless you have cancer. That's the one reason to have your gallbladder taken out. And unfortunately, gallbladder cancers and biliary duct cancers are becoming more and more common. So if you don't have cancer and you just have gallstones, keep your gallbladder. The reason why people have gallstones is because of SIBO. It's because bile becomes very sludgy when you have this condition. Also, leaky gut can lead to gallstones, and eating the wrong foods can lead to gallstones. So if you have gallstones or you're prone towards gallstones, treat it as a digestive condition. That's not a reason to remove the gallbladder. And don't pay any attention to any healthcare professional or medical professional who says, oh, you don't need that gallbladder. You can live just fine without it. No, you can't. You're running risks for horrible health challenges down the road, including lousy skin if you don't have a gallbladder. So keep your gallbladder. That's another very important strategy. And making sure that you're getting enough fiber to get to help move food through the small intestine and outside the body. I make a fiber drink every morning. It's like I take flax seeds, organic flax seeds. We have, I don't know if you have Whole Foods in the UK. I don't think you do, but you probably have health food stores where you can get organic flax seeds. You can also buy them online. Get the organic, and the golden flax seeds are better than the brown flax seeds. They're younger and they've got more nutritional value. You grind up maybe a couple tablespoons of flax seeds in a coffee grinder, put them in a glass of water, put a little bit of stevia, and then a little bit of maybe I like nutmeg and cinnamon and cardamom, make a nice little kind of like a chai sort of flavoring. And it's so delicious. It gives you fiber, it gives you vitamins, it gives you minerals, and it gives you phytonutrients that are especially important for women. Plus, it improves bowel function. It improves bowel movements as well, and it's very filling. And it's got as much protein as a couple of eggs. So it's a great breakfast. It's a great strategy to use if you want to eat less food and you want to fill up before meals so you don't eat as much food, or fill up first thing in the morning so you don't eat much food. And it's a great digestive health strategy. And then there's nutrients that help your body make hydrochloric acid or make stomach acid. Zinc, for example, is critical for the production of hydrochloric acid. And as you can tell by the name, hydrochloric, chloride is also important. And chloride, most of our chloride comes from sodium chloride. So making sure you're getting enough salt, contrary to what we hear from our medical community. Oh, you have to go salt free, you have to go low salt. Salt is important for the production of hydrochloric acid via the molecule chloride. All of this is to say, if you're dealing with sensitive skin, nobody should ever have sensitive skin. If you're dealing with an autoimmune condition like psoriasis or like vitiligo, nobody should ever have an autoimmune condition. If you're dealing with another immune problem, which may also be autoimmune, like eczema or dermatitis, these conditions as well, and also more common skin issues like acne or dry skin or accelerated aging. Focus on digestive health. Not only will you be improving your digestive functioning, which means less toxicity, it means better nutrient absorption, but you'll also be improving blood function and immune function, reducing the impact of immune disorders, slowing down the aging process, improving oxygenation and detoxification, and nutrient delivery via improving blood perfusion, and you'll have better skin because of it. And in fact, if you have a skin condition, you can use your skin condition as a metric, as a barometer to how well you're doing with your digestive health protocols, because you can see that your skin's improving. And if your skin is not improving, if your sensitive skin is not getting better, your rosacea, your vitiligo, or your psoriasis, your eczema, whatever it is, are not improving, then you know you have to tweak. And if they are improving, you'll know you're on the right track. So it's almost like it's a good thing in an ironic kind of way if you have a skin condition, because now you have a barometer to assess the effectiveness of your internal digestive health strategies.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you so much. That's so interesting. And someone actually has said, can we save this live, which we will do, because I think people will want to go back and watch it and write down. And I wrote some notes as well.
Cancer. This will save you from autoimmunity.
Yeah.
This will save you from joint pain and accelerated aging. This will add years to your life, and you'll have beautiful skin on top of everything else.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's the truth.
Yes. Yeah. And I've got lots of messages coming through actually saying thank you. This is so informative. So yeah, thank you so much, Ben.
Thank you, Luke.
And so I've got
I hope I see you.
Brando said, let food be the medicine and medicine be the food, which is so true.
Said that in the year 200 BC, thousands of years ago, they knew, let food be thy medicine and let medicine be thy food. And I heard another derivative of that, which I thought was really cool. I forgot who said this. He said, if your food is not your medicine is going to be your food.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's so true. And I think you're right. And I think, like you said, I mean, like you said, so many years ago, we heard so many things like, we did hear, eat the rainbow, have a colourful diet, but now it's becoming more aware of why that's important and the impact it has.
Add one more thing. The skin's a fatty organ, so it's very dependent on fats. Essential fatty acids, EFAs, both omega-6 EFAs and omega-3 EFAs, they're both important, as well as vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. All four of the fatty vitamins are very important for skin health. Vitamin K is important for wound healing. Vitamin D is important for the immune system in the skin. Vitamin A is retinol, and it's maybe the most important skin vitamin of all. And vitamin E is very protective against the environment, against cigarette smoke or ultraviolet radiation from the sun. And there are minerals that are important for the skin, like zinc and selenium, which are probably the two most important skin minerals there are. Zinc deficiency is associated with all skin diseases, and selenium deficiency is also associated with acne and dandruff and keratoses. In fact, I don't know if you've heard of Selsun Blue. Have you heard of this product, Selsun Blue? No. Selsun Blue, it's a dandruff shampoo. The active ingredient is selenium. Have you heard of Head and Shoulders?
Yes.
The active ingredient is zinc. And dandruff, Selsun Blue and Head and Shoulders are designed for dandruff, but they'll also help your skin if you put them right on your skin because of the selenium content and the zinc content. So if you have a digestive problem, the chances are pretty good you're going to have a fat absorption problem. And this is also especially true if you're missing a gallbladder or you have sludgy bile. And I'm not even going to get into estrogen because we should talk about that another time. But one of the jobs of the microbiome and bile is to improve estrogen, to help clear out excess estrogen. And if you have a bile problem or an intestinal problem, you're going to be more at risk for endometriosis, for menstrual problems, for God forbid, cancer, reproductive cancers, including breast cancer, which is an epidemic, infertility, as well as just overall female health misery. So working on fats, working on bile, working on SIBO, working on the intestine, making sure you're changing your diet or eliminating problem foods, using nutritional support for the stomach and for the pancreas and for the liver and the gallbladder, as well as the intestine, are all important for anti-aging, for overall health, and for skin health and beauty.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ben. Just there's one more question just come in. Bree Camp was asking, what cleanser and serum would you recommend? I mean, we have our advice, don't we? You could always contact us because it's always good to know.
For everybody out there listening, we got 19 people out there listening. Lucy knows her stuff, and that beauty that you're looking at is partially born, but it's partially also because she knows what she's doing when it comes to health and when it comes to skin, when it comes to internal health, as when it comes to skin health. So Lucy knows all about the Truth products. Of course, I love our Truth Hyaluronic Honey Cleanser, our Peppermint Salicylic Cleanser, and our Truth Transdermal C Serum and Balm. But reach out to Lucy and she can help you with all the Truth products.
Yeah, absolutely. Any questions, just DM or send us an email. That'd be brilliant. Perfect. Thank you so much, Ben. Yeah, it would be great to come back on and talk some more another time as well. I think people have found it so interesting. So that would be fantastic. Thank you so much. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye, Ben. Bye.